again. This way, 快点。
Can we maybe take a cold shower?
My legs and my back. Look at, so the train goes in, you know.
I think there's something wrong with me because I'm really not afraid of heights.
I know, she's like so chill. I'm like,
Take some pictures. I can't because I have to. Yeah.
Morning.
That was actually made from the prisoners in that prison I showed you guys from 1908 to 1902 or 1910. They were commissioned to come and build this water line. Our water had too much alcohol.
That bridge up there is about, it's about 50 feet wide. That bridge was used for homes.